Hi, online friends. All right, so today we're talking about meter signatures, also known as time signatures. That is a meter signature or a time signature, right? You've got one at the beginning of every sight singing you ever do. You've got them at the beginning of all of your pieces that you're learning, and you've got like 75 of them in See the Light, right? There's that one page where it keeps going back and forth between 3/4 and 4/4. So what this tells you is how much time you have in every measure, right? It's telling you how much space you have to work with in each measure. How do you know when a measure is over and we're going on to another one? Bar lines, very good. Bar lines, right? The bar lines let us know that the amount of time in a given measure has ended and the next measure has begun. The two numbers in a meter signature tell you how many of what kind of note will fit in each measure. Now, it does not mean that every measure is going to have that many of that note, right? Going back to your sight singing, it's in 4/4, right? 4 quarter notes worth of time per measure. Are there 4 quarter notes in any of those measures that you sight read? No. It's all kinds of different kinds of notes. But they all take up the same amount of time as 4 quarter notes. The top number tells you how many, and there's another piece of information the top number tells you that I'm going to show you here in a second. But for right now, let's talk about the bottom number. Bottom number tells you what kind of note the measure's being divided up into. So if you have 3/4, that's telling you that there's 3 quarter notes in each measure, or the equivalent time of 3 quarter notes. 3 quarter notes worth of time in each measure. If you see 4/2, it's telling you that 4 half notes, or the equivalent time thereof, will fit in each measure. So when it comes to the bottom number, it's telling you what type of note is being emphasized by that meter signature. And I have a set of shortcuts for your convenience. Something over 4 means that many quarter notes. Something over 8 means that many eighth notes. Something over 2 means that many half notes. Something over 1 means that many whole notes. There are different categories of meters. So when you can divide beats into 2, those types of meters are called simple meters. Now, simple meters, the way you tell whether it's a simple meter is with that top note, listen to me, that top number. That's the other piece of information the top number gives you. If the top number is 2, 3, or 4, then you are in a simple meter. Now, See the Light begins in 4/4. You Can't Stop the Beat is in 4/4. What meter is Goblin Feet in? It's in 6/8. It's because the beats are not split into 2. They're split into 3. I am off down the road where the fairyland turns slow. If I played the accompaniment and you were to try and listen to all the little beats, not just the big beats, but all the little beats in between. 1, 2, 1, 2. That is compound meter. The top number needs to be a multiple of 3, but not 3 itself. So if it's 6 over something, 9 over something, or 12 over something, it is compound meter. So, depending on when you're watching this video, and whether you are a brick and mortar or a virtual student, at some point you're going to get some kind of assignment where I'm going to ask you about meter signatures and how many of what does the meter signature represent, and then whether or not that meter is simple or compound. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Let's say I give you 3, 2. So you'll remember from the lesson I just taught that this top number gives us a couple of pieces of information. The top number tells us how many and whether it's simple, compound, or asymmetrical. The bottom number tells us what kind of note. So if you remember from my shortcuts at the beginning of the video, this bottom number being a 2 tells me that the half note is the one being emphasized. You can also see that in the example directly above it. So there's going to be 3 half notes per measure in this meter. And because 3 is the top number, that means it's a simple meter. For another example, if I give you 9/8. Again, the top number tells us how many, the bottom number tells us what kind of note, and then we come back to the top number for simple, compound, or asymmetrical. So there's going to be 9 of something. This bottom number tells me that it's 9/8 notes. So there are 9/8 notes per measure for this meter. And because 9 is a multiple of 3, but not 3 itself, that tells me that this is compound. Now go forth and analyze, my children.